Businesses are bracing for a subdued Christmas trading period as the usual boom in momentum in December has failed to occur. Credit inquiries are also on the rise and administrations are increasing, risking a not so Merry Christmas for Australian businesses. That's according to CreditorWatch's latest Business Risk Index. For more, CreditorWatch Chief Executive Patrick Coghlan joins us now. Patrick, pleasure to have you on the program. So just talk about what's going on. You're obviously seeing quite a bit of caution in trade in the lead up to Christmas. Not surprising, I guess, given economic conditions at the moment, but what's going on?
Yeah, look, I'm conscious of not being too grinchy, but I think business owners, particularly small business owners, need to be aware of the fact that conditions are definitely tightening. And I guess if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a good thing, because at the end of the day, we want to bring inflation down, and that's ultimately going to mean a tightening of wallets and ultimately probably an increase in insolvencies, which is what we're seeing. So it's definitely tougher, and it's only going to get tougher over the coming year.
I guess it's interesting though that there are some silver linings. Some industries are faring better than others, consumer-facing businesses in particular. Can you talk us through the trends you're seeing here?
Yeah, what's really nice, obviously health is doing well, and manufacturing and the ag industries, which is great. And I think, hopefully we get a good run of weather, particularly for, agriculture. They've done it really tough with floods and fires and whatnot over the last couple of years. So there's definitely positives to take out of that. If you go around any of the CBDs at the moment, it's virtually impossible to get into a cafe, a bar, a hotel or anything like that. So there's good spend in an industry that's ultimately probably done it the toughest over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, but it's interesting. On the flip side, food is one of the most likely industries to default. So just talk us through that, because that's sort of on the flip side to what we're actually seeing right now.
Yeah, and I think the challenge there is, you look at the CBDs, it's packed. You look at the edge of the CBDs and it's really quiet. Yeah. And I think if we link that to default, there's the tightening of belts, right? So discretionary spending is definitely going to come down as interest rates go up and inflation continues to rise as well. But we're also seeing a lot of businesses that have done it tough over the last 2.5 years, either pulling the pin or just not opening at all. So that's what's ultimately dragging down or increasing the risk in particularly in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, and as you've said, external administrations up quite significantly on year, also insolvencies. Are you expecting this to continue to rise? Is there a lag effect, I guess, on this coming up over the next 12 months?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's a few little bits and pieces to pull out of the insolvency number. So obviously insolvencies are going up. They're up on last year, but really we're only just getting back to pre-COVID numbers, right? So that means we're entering a normal sort of trading environment, which is what we need. Insolvency is a bad thing, but it's important, right? If companies don't go into administration, then companies know that they don't have to pay bills. So insolvency plays a really critical part in the economic cycle. What we're also seeing, if you were to sort of average the number of insolvencies over the last 3, 4, 5 years, we're still down, right? We were down almost 50% through 20 and 21. So we're seeing a lot of companies get washed through the system. So a big chunk of companies going into administration at the moment don't actually owe much debt at all or have zero debt. So it's certainly not all doom and gloom. Despite that, we will see a continued increase in insolvencies over the next 6 to 12 months. And we're probably expecting that to go 15-20% above the normal sort of pre-COVID numbers.
What sort of challenges will businesses be facing over the next year, given we've got interest rates rising, we've got inflation also still high, even though it has come off a little bit, and also, I guess, how that fares between big and small business?
Yeah, sure. So big business, they're fortunate that they have often got a lot of cash at call, or they can raise capital, whether that's in the public markets or the debt markets, and have got sort of economic levers that they can pull within their business. Redundancies, cost control. They've just got the knowledge within the business. Small businesses don't have access to those sort of features, so to speak. They really need to be focusing on expense management. They need to be focusing on cash flow and doing regular cash flow forecasts for the next, probably 12 months. And they need to be understanding, the downside risks. If they're sort of forecasting, X, what happens if they only get 50% of that? Can they survive, and what do they need to do in order to survive?
key things to watch over the next few months in particular. Patrick Coghlan, appreciate your time on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.